Dijonai Carrington stabbing Caitlin Clark in the eye, intentionally, in my view, with her fingernail. Surely the corporate media that cares so much about racial equity and racial justice is going to be all over this. Caitlin Clark has made this league relevant, and this deranged bigot, and I say that in all sincerity.
Have you ever felt like the rules didn't apply equally to everyone? That's exactly what Jason Whitlock is saying about the WNBA right now. He's claiming Caitlin Clark, the league's new star, isn't getting the protection she deserves. And it's got me thinking, are we really treating all athletes fairly? Now let's explore the incident that rocked the WNBA to its foundation. The silence was terrible, but the whistle never blew. The WNBA suddenly found itself embroiled in its largest controversy to date. How could something so insignificant have such a significant impact? Imagine this. Driving to the hoop, Caitlin Clark's gaze is fixed intently on the basket. Dijonai Carrington's hand materializes out of nowhere. Clark makes contact and stumbles back, shielding her face with her hand. In seconds, the audience goes from applauding to gasping. You would think that by now the referees would be all over this. False? Not a bugle? No foul was committed. They act as though they were blind to it. However, it was the case for everyone else as well, and many were not pleased. Social media took off. Supporters were around Carrington's hand, posting slow-motion recordings and calling for Clark's justice. With everyone acting as a detective, it was similar to CSI, WNBA outside. This is the tough part though. Was it deliberate? No way, claim Carrington's supporters. It was merely an incident that happened spontaneously. Fans of Clark? They want Carrington's head served on a platter. Clark too? She is a true warrior in the world. She may have a black eye and possibly poor vision, but she is still fighting and competing on the court.
The fact that the Michael Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted has a black eye during the second half of the game because Dijonai Carrington stabbed her with her fingernails in the eye. Dijonai has a history with Caitlin Clark, like many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago and Angel Reese. That's not a natural act of you contest a shot and then all of a sudden your hand turns downwards and straight into the eye of the biggest star in the WNBA.
She is a fan favorite because of her toughness. But does she really need to be that tough? Panic mode has set in at the league office. Players, coaches, and supporters alike are yelling for them to play. However, what sort of activity? A halt? A penalty? Nothing at all? Every choice feels like it could lead to more problems. You know what's really bizarre though? This isn't some obscure video game. We are discussing Caitlin Clark here, the league's face, the sensational rookie who is winning over new supporters left and right. What kind of message does it convey if the WNBA is unable to keep her safe? These days, it's not just about one play. It concerns star treatment, player safety, and the integrity of the game. The WNBA is reeling from the exposure of a whole can of worms caused by one eye poke. There is disagreement among the fans. There are many who advocate for Carrington's expulsion from the league. Some are standing up for her, arguing that it's all part of the game. On one point though, nearly everyone is in agreement. The referees seriously blew it. You consider it awful to poke one eye? That pales in comparison to the ongoing events occurring behind the scenes. There is much more to the WNBA's issue than simply one dirty play.
Caitlin Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA. We've seen the animus directed at Caitlin Clark all year. Ever be the biggest star in American sports was assaulted 2 minutes into the game on a dirty play with one of these women with these long fake fingernails that stabbed her in the eye. But damn it, in the first 2 minutes of this game, this Dijonai Carrington stabbed Caitlin Clark with her fingernails right in the eye.
How long till the entire deck of cards is revealed? Let's discuss the wider picture. This incident with Caitlin Clark, it's not a singular incident. Fans are beginning to notice that it's part of a pattern that has been developing throughout the season. Clark has been taking hits all over the place, and it appears like the referees are never looking away. When it comes to defending the biggest talent in the league, it seems like they are wearing blinders. This is where things become pretty complicated. Not all of the fans are angry with Clark. All in all, they are concerned about player safety. Not gladiators, but professional athletes are what we are discussing about. Every time they set foot on the court, they shouldn't have to worry about their eyes being gouged out. What's making it worse, you know? The race relations in question. There are those fans who believe the way the league protects its stars is biased. They are making the claim that Clark ought to receive more protection because he is a white player. Others, however, are responding angrily, claiming that it is unfair to athletes of color who have endured years of abusive play. This eye poke just set the fire on a powder keg of stress. The fans now, they're not just taking it all in and not moving. They are voicing their frustrations and are furious as hell. We're talking about demands for Carrington's suspension, boycott threats, everything of it. Why should we bother watching if the WNBA can't protect its players, is a common question. Not just any old supporters on Twitter either. Notoriety commentators are joining in on the fun as well. Kathy Engelbert, "You need to step in here," one of them said at the commissioner. This is not acceptable. What a way to put someone on the spot. Kathy Engelbert, speaking of which, must be feeling the heat at the moment. Everyone is looking to her for answers as the strain builds. What will she do about this? It won't do to give Carrington a slap on the wrist. Go too far though, and she runs the danger of offending players who believe the league is being too strict. Engelbert is walking a tightrope without a safety net. Without giving the impression that they are favoritizing anyone in particular, she needs to find a method to demonstrate that the league takes player safety seriously. She must act quickly to prevent this entire thing from getting out of control. The problem is that there are multiple commissioners and players involved in this. This has to do with the WNBA's future. They've been putting in a lot of effort to expand the league, attract new supporters, and demonstrate that women's basketball is just as competitive and thrilling as men's basketball. And right now, that entire progress is in jeopardy. Because, let's be honest, why would fans spend their time and money if they don't believe the league can protect its players? If playing in the WNBA would put their health at jeopardy, why would parents encourage their children to have that dream? This criticism may be the straw that breaks the camel's back and compels the league to examine its own processes in great detail. The WNBA faces a difficult decision, but may this misfortune present a wonderful chance? Envision a league that becomes stronger, safer, and more well-liked than it has ever been. Is it feasible that a revolution in women's basketball may be started by Caitlin Clark's eye poke? Let's discuss how the WNBA could resolve this conflict. Player safety comes first. It's obvious that something needs to change quickly. There are discussions regarding improving referee training. Imagine referees who are able to recognize risky plays before they occur, rather than after someone has already suffered harm. What about fines? Some players seem to believe they can get away with murder on the court right now. However, what if the league strictly penalized violent fouls? We are discussing fines, suspensions, and everything in between. Players may suddenly reconsider their actions before elbowing or, well, poking someone in the eye. This is where things become really fascinating though. It goes beyond simply altering the rule. It's about transforming the league's entire culture. What if the WNBA took advantage of this opportunity to reinvent itself as the world's safest and fairest basketball league? That kind of standing has the potential to draw in new followers and retain existing ones. Let's now take a little discussion regarding Caitlin Clark. She played on without raising much of a fuss, taking that jab in the eye like a pro. Fans adore that brand of harshness. However, what if she made use of that opportunity to speak up for change? Imagine Clark standing up and requesting improved player safety. She might represent the WNBA in a new light. You know what's absurd though? Already, the fans are in the lead. These days, they do more than just whine on Twitter. They are mobilizing, voicing grievances, and threatening to boycott. That kind of pressure cannot be ignored by the league. It appears that the WNBA is being forced to change by its supporters, whether or not it wants to. The crucial question is, however, how the league will react. Here is Kathy Engelbert's opportunity to create history. She might introduce a completely new set of regulations, harsher punishments, and improved referee training. She might develop a player safety program that becomes the norm for all sports leagues. Consider it, the WNBA has the potential to become the league that other sports look up to if they get this properly. The NBA has its own problems with physical play, while the NFL has difficulties with concussions. What about the WNBA though? They might have been the first to find it out, not to mention the racial strain that this whole event sparked. The league has an opportunity to deal with that directly as well. Perhaps it's time to have some open discussions about how various players are handled by referees and spectators. Although it won't be simple, doing so might eventually strengthen the league. I understand your thoughts at this point. All of this sounds fantastic, but will the WNBA be able to pull it off? That's where the intriguing part starts though, because the league office is no longer the only consideration. It's about the players, coaches, and supporters uniting to call for change. Suppose there was a WNBA where all players felt secure in their surroundings, where supporters are guaranteed to witness fair play each and every time, where the reputation of the league encompasses not just excellent basketball, but also honesty and player safety. Such a league has the potential to draw in new viewers, sponsors, and possibly even television partnerships. The worst part is that all of this might be caused by a single poke to the eye. There was one instance that brought the league to its knees and had everyone examine its operations closely. Real change can occasionally only come about in times of crisis, and that's exactly what we may be witnessing here.